Hey guys, welcome back to Karting with Chris. Today's video is going to be the Winter 1 final race here at North Texas Karters. Now if you haven't seen my pre-final race, go ahead and click or tap in the top right hand corner of your screen. Go ahead and check that out. Or if you have seen it and you just can't remember what happened, basically what happened is I qualified in 7th and dropped down into 9th place. Now, one of the things I struggled with in the pre-final was warming up my tires. It took me a couple laps to get my tires warmed up, and it just ruined the start of the race because people were just passing me. This is going to be even harder for this race because it's later in the day, the sun has set, and the track is much colder. You can definitely feel it. Now, I jacked up my tire pressures. I'd made some adjustments to the kart, but overall I was still struggling with tires, so maybe I need new tires. I don't know. But yeah, for this race, I was really struggling to get some temperature in my tires. So with that excuse out of the way, I know I'm always coming up with excuses in these videos. We're in 9th place. We're on the inside going into turn 1. If you've never been to NTK, the inside is a very valuable place to be because the outside tends to lose a position, if not, tends to wreck out. So we're starting the inside, we've got Cone in front of us, we're going to try and stay as close to Cone as possible. So going down the straight here, flagman waves green, we're good to go, and the outside actually gets a terrible run going into turn 1. See, there's just this massive jumble of people on the right hand side. We move up 2 positions, we've got Landon beside us going into turn 2 here. Landon started in 2nd place, so he did not get a good start. Going into turn 3 here, I'm also side by side with Alfred from behind. You see the massive horde of people behind me. Going side by side into turn 3 caused me to lose all my momentum. You see the people in front have pulled away from me. Alfred's looking for the move going into turn 7, but I do the old switcheroo on him and regain 7th position. So that race start was definitely one of the more interesting race starts I've been in. I don't quite know what happened to cause that big jumble at the beginning, but regardless, we're in 7th place now. We gained 2 positions, so we're not unhappy with this result. Now we just got to try and keep pushing forward. Like I said at the beginning of this video, really going to struggle with tire temperatures. You can see going through turn 2, not that close to the apex. Again through turn 3, not that close to the apex. So we're getting some understeer. This is kind of the characteristics of cold tires. And so coming out of the chicane going into turn 7, Alfred probably notices this. He's going to go for take 2 through turn 7. I'm going to try and do the same move, trying to get the cut back on him, but you can see I bump into the back of him, which loses my momentum, and it kind of gives it to him. So now he's in front of me. Coming out of turns 8 and 9 here, he taps his helmet. He wants to work together, go forward. So I'm going to try and maybe work together with him, kind of see where we're at. Going through turn 1 here, Alfred goes sideways. I had to back off there, actually, because I didn't want to bang into the back of him. So now we've got Alfred in front of us, and we also have 2 more people behind us. We've got Ian and Thomas behind us. And going through the chicane, I think Ian probably notices, I'm all over the place as well. And so he's going to look for the move going into turn 7. Gives us a friendly little wave. How you doing, Ian? Thanks for the wave. I look for the cutback like I did with Alfred earlier, but we're going side by side through turn 8 and 9. He's got the inside, and so, there's not much I could have done there. Taps his helmet, points forwards. He wants to catch up to Alfred in front. I'm going to try my best. I'm still struggling, not 100% confident in my tires. Going through turn 1, though, Ian does get very sideways. We do catch up to him. Thought about looking for the move through turn 2, but there are some times you just got to go for the move, and the other times you just got to, maybe stay behind. In hindsight, I probably should have went for that move. It's always easy to critique your racing once watching the video, but in the moment, I didn't want to do a really late move and, catch him off guard. But, yeah, probably should have went for the move there, especially since I'm on the back foot, but now it's too late. We've got Thomas from behind. Thomas isn't that close to me right now, so I don't have to worry about him too much. One thing I did notice is that through turn 1, Thomas was really good through turn 1. I think he had his tires gripped up, or he had his kart set up for these conditions very well. And so through turn 1, when I would look behind me, I'd notice that Thomas was right on my tail. And so this is something I have to note and try and cope with and adapt to. But going into turn 7 up here, we're going to look behind me, and we can see that Thomas is going to look for the move into turn 7. He backs out of it. He thinks better of it, which I'm glad, because I really don't like it when people dive bomb me. Going through turn 8 and 9 here, we're going to look behind me again. We can see that, there's a bit of a gap between myself and Thomas, but, he has the draft, so he's going to be able to catch up to me. And then going through turn 1, you can see just how much faster he is, and he's actually got enough momentum to look for the move through turn 2. Not a lot I could have done there, and now we're down into 10th place, unfortunately. Now, I know exactly why I am kind of all over the place, not able to heat up my tires properly. It's because I've got a pretty hard axle in my kart right now. I thought the track was going to be a little more gripped up than it was, and unfortunately I just made the wrong decision, and so that's kind of costing me this race. So next time, maybe I'll go in for a softer axle depending on what the weather conditions are like. But, race is never over. We can see up ahead that Alfred and Ian are passing each other. That's definitely going to slow them down. And so maybe Thomas can catch up to them, maybe start battling with them as well. Or maybe, my tires can start to get some heat in them, and we can start churning out the qualifying laps. Now, one thing that helps when you're in a scenario like this is other people in front of you having mechanical problems. And that's exactly what happened. Going to turn 7 here, we're going to freeze it right here. And we can look off to the right-hand side of your screen. That is my friend Colton. I think he had some sort of engine problem or brake issues or a combination of the two. And he was in like the top 3, I think, before this happened. And now he's out of the race. So, with that, we move up into 9th place. Now, at this point of the race, I'm pretty confident in my tires. I feel like they're warmed up to the point where I don't really have to back off through any of the corners, which is good. You want to be confident in your kart. So now I'm kind of looking forward, not paying attention to anybody behind me. I don't think there's anyone really close enough behind me to worry about, so that's good news. But we skip ahead a lap or a couple laps. We're now on the end of lap 9, start of lap 10. This race kind of started getting a little spaced out, so it was not the most interesting race in the world, but trust me, it gets better. But one thing I was noticing as the race went on is that Thomas was definitely faster than me. You can see he's pulling away from me. But Ian and Alfred, I don't think they were faster than me. I felt like they were about the same speed as me because I felt that the distance was about equal the entire time. Thomas is caught up to, I think that's Alfred, looking for the move going into turn 7. Wasn't quite enough beside him to get the job done. That's definitely going to slow them down. So if they keep doing this, then we might be able to catch up and gain some positions. Because at this point, I feel that my tires are a decent temperature. I felt that Alfred and Ian weren't really pulling away from me. So if I can catch up to them, maybe we can gain some positions. Now, at this race, there were a handful of rookie drivers, which is nice. It's nice to see rookie drivers, but I was noticing we were catching up to a rookie driver up ahead. He was about to be lapped, and this is good news for me because that means he'll probably slow down the 3 in front, and that's what we want to happen. So this is all good news. Things are starting to fall into place. Going through turns 8 and 9, the rookie spins out, and he smashes into me, and unfortunately, he does enough damage to my kart to where I am now out of the race. So let's analyze what happened here. I want to figure out what happened. So we're going to start in turn 7. We're going through turn 7. I know the rookie's there, so I know he's there. Through turn 7, I can see he's starting to spin right here. So I know he's about to spin. You can tell when people are about to spin, and so you got to try and predict where they're going to go when they spin. So we're going to skip forward ahead some more. And so right here, I notice everyone's going around the outside. This is a race. I want to catch up to these people. So I see there's a gap on the inside. I'm going to commit to the inside and try and take the racing line. So we're going to skip forward a little bit more. And right here, I'm noticing that the rookie is closing the gap on the inside. I think he has his foot on the throttle. And looking at his helmet, I don't think he knows I'm here. He's not looking at me. And so at this point, I've kind of already committed to the inside. These things happen in fractions of a second. So I'm kind of already committed to the inside. And so we're going to skip further forward ahead. And at this point right here, I think he's still got his foot in the throttle. I don't know what he's doing. And if I turn left at this point, I'm going to launch over top of him. So I'm just going to crank the wheel as hard to the right as possible and kind of just brace for this impact because I know he's going to hit me regardless at this point. And so going through turn 8, that's exactly what happens. He hits my front left tire, sends my cart hopping up into the air. We're going to look at the backwards camera. I get thrown out of my seat, holding onto the steering wheel for dear life because I don't want to be thrown out of the cart. And unfortunately, the tie rod bent, and that put me out of the race. Now I know what you're wondering, Chris, are you okay? And physically, yes, I'm okay. I hurt my back. I think my back hit against the side of the seat, but physically I'm okay. Mentally, I guess it depends who you ask. Now, in terms of the cart, obviously the tie rod is bent. We can see in this video it is bent beyond use. The steering column looks maybe a little bent. It could just be the way the camera is taking video. So I'm hoping the steering column's not bent. I'm hoping the chassis is not bent. The spindle looked fine to me, but yeah, fingers crossed. Now, I know this guy was a rookie, so, I forgive him. He probably didn't know what to do in a scenario like this. If you ever find yourself in a scenario like this, just come to a complete stop. People will go around you. Probably the worst thing you can do is put your foot on the gas. 9 times out of 10, just come to a complete stop, especially if you're facing the other way. You don't want to be going backwards into traffic because then you just become a very unpredictable obstacle. So in this scenario, if he would have just stayed still right there, I wouldn't have hit him. But, accidents happen. The only thing I can do now is just forgive him and move on. Now, unfortunately, this is not only the end of the race, but the end of the video. If you liked the video, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions, suggestions, or opinions, please do comment below. Thank you guys for watching, and have a good day.